Hey everybody, movie reviewer next door here, and I'm back with another review. And this time, I watched Stir of Echoes 2: The Homecoming. This is a 2007 horror thriller directed by Ernie Barbaresh, and it stars Rob Lowe, Marnie McPhail, Ben Lewis, Tatiana Maslany, and Sean Roberts. In this film, a soldier returns home from the Iraq War only to be haunted by visions of the dead. So, what did I think of Stir of Echoes 2: The Homecoming? Well, I'll get into why that title is kind of a load of shit. But it's okay. There's nothing inherently horrible about it. There's a couple really annoying things that are things that happened with films around this time, but other than that, other than like a twist near the end that's I guess pretty well done, about on the same level as the first, even though the twist in the first came more. But it, um, I guess there's a good twist, so I guess I can bump it up to a decent. But it's really only for people who are okay with a movie that has barely anything with the first. Let me get to the cast. Rob Lowe plays Ted Kogan. He is a actor veteran. He gets hurt in a coma, ends up being shipped back home. Um, he does a pretty decent job. I haven't seen a lot of films with Blow in them. I've seen him on TV randomly. I don't think he's back at all. I think he has some potential. This screenplay doesn't give him a lot of room to, show off his acting chops. He did an alright job. Marnie McPhail plays Molly Kogan, his wife. I've never seen this actress before. Apparently, she's in the new Nicolas Cage movie, Dream Scenario, which people love. She's in Without Warning. Greatest Game Ever Played. She's in random movies, it seems. She doesn't do a bad job either. She's pretty decent. She's a huge character, but then again, this is one of those movies where the main character is mainly who the film's focusing on. She's alright, though. Ben Lewis plays Max Kogan, their son. He's okay. He's very up and down. He's not as good as even the child actor from the first film. Um, but he basically just plays an angsty teen, and it's kind of annoying. Tatiana Maslany plays Tammy, a friend of Max's, I guess from school. They never show them in school, so I assume they go to school. Um, she's okay. I've never been big Tatiana Maslany. The last movie I saw her in was Certain Prey with Mark Harmon, which I think she does a slightly better job. But then again, I don't think she's a great actress. I think she is a bit overrated, especially given She-Hulk as evidence. Um, and Sean Roberts is Luke, another friend. Um, he's there. He doesn't really have much to do. I know him from Detention with Dolph Lundgren, and he's in the Resident Evil films as Wesker. Um, yeah, not really much to say there. But this film, from what I've heard, I don't know if this is for sure. Apparently, this was originally supposed to be a separate script that they wrote into being a Stir of Echoes movie. Now, if that's the case, A, this isn't the worst feel this isn't the worst one of those types of movies. There are the Hellraiser sequels, which I've heard are supremely terrible for the most part. Uh, Hellraiser Inferno, Hellseeker, Deader, uh, Hellworld. All four of those were not written as Hellraiser movies originally. Same with Judgment. Yet they tried to act like, oh, it's a return to form for Hellraiser. Um, but with this, at least I can see some things from the original that do continue. They have a returning character, and I know the returning character doesn't do much. He really doesn't. But at least something, put more effort into it than those Hellraiser movies did. I remember seeing Inferno and feeling like uh this just feels like a random cop like psychological thriller with Pinhead showing up every so often, which is basically what happened. Um, but with this, again, I got enough of the main like plot elements of the first film in there so that it doesn't feel 100% like nothing like the actual thing or nothing like the first film. But again, there's not really anything that special about this movie. And I'm gonna do like a spoiler warning near the end of the review so I can talk about some certain things. But yeah, there's this I mean, again, the main story is about a soldier returning home from Iraq War. Uh he accidentally is responsible for the death of an Iraqi family. Um and he's guilty about it, and he's seeing visions of dead people. And then it's not about that. It's about this random college student who he has to figure out who killed him. And it just doesn't feel as connected to the events as it did in the first film. As connected to who died. It feels like a random, like, PSA against, like, Islamophobia, I guess. I don't understand. Again, this is a movie that came out, again, during the time of the height of the Iraq War. I have no real knowledge on that, so I'm not gonna try to, like, lecture anyone on it. But it gets really annoying when you see all of these movies from this era that have to comment on people, have like these cartoonish representations of Americans who are like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell an Islamic joke. I'm gonna tell an Arabic joke," and it comes off really fucking forced, especially when you find out it's actually important to the plot, and it just, I don't know, it rubbed me a bit the wrong way. It I'm not offended by it. I'm not Islamic. I'm not from Iraq. I don't know shit about Iraq. Uh, I just know that it's used as a plotline in a lot of movies, especially war movies. And um, speaking of Iraq, the scene at the beginning, there's a scene at the beginning to establish this main character as a soldier, and at the entire opening scene shot in like really low frame rate. I don't know if the intention was, I guess the intention was to be disorientating, or disorienting, but it instead just comes off as a visual fucking eyesore. They do this later for a flashback to the twist, which I will talk about because it is a bit over the top, but in a way where I was like, this is kind of so bad it's good. Um, I do think this movie has legit points where it is legitimately off-putting in a good way and legitimately entertaining in what it's going for, but it does have a lot of flaws. But it's like the like assault on the truck. I uploaded a short clip from the movie um before my short review of exactly what I'm talking about. Because it is just a visual eyesore. It's got that weird like Iraq war filter and you know what filter I'm talking about. It just makes everything look all washed out, and it's really ugly to look at. Like, I'm not saying make a war zone look beautiful, but don't make it like impossible to look at, cuz I almost got dizzy. Excuse me. Because of how low the frame rate was. It just really, it's really distracting. And again, they do this later, and it seems like the frame rate problem gets worse. I was hoping if the entire movie had that frame rate thing, I would have stopped watching it. And I wouldn't have given it a review at all, because I'm never going to review something I didn't finish. Like, if it's a season of TV, I can review that, but I'll never review something I'm not finishing, unless it's like I'm just watching a specific episode. But other than that, the film for the most part looks alright. It does, because this was a TV movie, but it also, like, I don't understand, because it's a sci-fi original movie, apparently. Premiered on Sci-Fi. But they also swear, and there's quite a bit of violence in it. More violence than in the original. Which the original wasn't, like, super focused on violence. There's a couple of parts, like breaking the fingernail and that stuff. But in in this, it seems more that they're going for kind of a, not a gore fest, but that there is more gore in this, and the gore's well done. It's not like it's shittily done. There's like one bit where I noticed some like clip art, or like really bad photoshopping of a piece of skin falling down someone's face, and it was just static. It looked really bad. But for the most part, there's some decent gore effects. There's a character that blows her brains out, and you see the back of her head, and it looks disgusting, and like goes all over the wall. It's pretty fucked up scene. Um, there's a scene where someone burns to death. That's well done. But yeah, like practical gore wise, or practical effects wise, pretty spot on. Um, uh, I mean, fuck it. I guess I'll get into spoilers. I guess I'll jot down a timestamp. But overall, I'd say that if you enjoyed the first, and you're looking for something kind of similar, uh, well, I could talk about I could talk about the kid, because the kid from the first movie, that character returns. It's not the same actor. That would have been cool to have the same actor, but the same actor would have been around like 17, 16, because this was 7 years after the first. Um, and I'm still confused why you'd make an in-name only sequel to the first movie 8 years after it happened. But I mean, they did that with Mask of Zorro, and they made a Legend of Zorro, that piece of shit. Um, but with this, that this character comes back for like a minute or two, and is supposed to be guiding the main character on him being a receiver, and it just feels very forced and shoehorned in, like whatever they tried to tie it to the first movie, but it's very superficial. But yeah, if you enjoy the first movie, if you think it's underrated, I don't think you'll think this is a fantastic movie. You might find it a time waster, but it's mostly inoffensive. It's well made enough, and it looks a bit above average for a TV movie. But now that I'm getting into spoilers, the twist at the end, the person who is guiding the main character to help him is a freaking, it's a college student who has a bumper sticker that says like something about blood and oil, and a, the twist is that the three friends, his kid and the friends, murdered him because they were drunk and they were angry that the freaking what's the kid name? Max was angry that his dad was put in a coma and he thinks that it was done by Iraqi people or something. They don't really explain it well. Um and the this college student who has dark skin, I guess that's what they're going for, is because he has dark skin. He's a Haji. They use the term Haji a lot. Sorry if that's offensive to me, but that I'm just saying what the movie says. Um, but he needs a jack for his car because his tire's out, and they're just looking at him weird. And then Tatiana Maslany's character notices, oh, he has a blood, don't spill blood for oil or something thing, and she takes that as he's making a statement on the Iraq War, talking about he should get a camel, stupid Haji, stupid. They're saying really retarded things, and well, they like take the jack away, and then he calls the girl a cunt, and then she's like, what the fuck you say? And then they beat the shit out of him, and then they're like, oh, let's set him on fire. And yeah, it turns out that the main character's son murdered this kid. um and I mean, the dad finds this out and the kid admits to it, and then the ghost of the guy takes over freaking Ted's body. He has a gun from an earlier incident with a woman with the wife of the guy who died in combat with him, trying to kill herself with. He has that gun aimed at his son's head. The mom tries to fight it out of his hand, and then he ends up shooting the mother. She ends up bleeding out and dying. Uh, and then off screen, Ted tells the cops he did this. You'll find his fingerprints at the scene. Uh, and they also imply that they imply that Sean Roberts' character is dead. They straight up say Sammy, Tatiana Maslany's character, is dead from a car crash. But yeah, and then they go to see the mom's grave, and Max is in jail, and Rob Lowe's character Ted is basically in a mental institution, and he's visited by the ghost of his wife, and then a somber ending. Uh, it's not that the ending is unsatisfying for me. It's just this movie is kind of a mixed bag. It just really doesn't hold my attention as much as I think it should. Because the first movie, while it had its slow parts, it kept up the interest factor. And I mean, it was the breath of fresh air I needed after the boring as fuck FNAF movie. Friday Night's a phrase. Um, but this 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 movie does feel like a. I mean, it's just a way of making money. It doesn't feel like I kind of just wish that this premise had been its own movie instead of trying to hype off of Stir of Echoes. Maybe I'd like it more, but yeah, it does rely on a lot of heavy-handed um, racism things, which are some of my least favorite because, I mean, racists don't talk like this. Actual racists don't talk like they do in a lot of movies. Even the ones that people love, like The Hate You Give and stuff like that. Garbage movies. But yeah, it's watchable. It's nothing offensive to me, like on a filmmaking perspective or writing perspective other than that. But yeah, not much else I could say. Um, that was my review of Stir of Echoes 2, The Homecoming. If you liked the review, comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Have you seen the film? Let me tell me about it. Any recommendations, put those in the comments, and movie reviewer next door.